Okay, so we all have out in front of us, we have two water cups today, two water cups. We have a paper towel. We have our contour line drawing from last week made out of crayon. And we have our paintbrush. We also have paints, and all the paints are in the middle of your table right now. We're gonna take a second to pick out some paints. You see, I already did, and I picked out these paints thinking about the things that I put in my picture already. I have my guitar and my little dog Corey. So I thought about how my dog made me feel and how my guitar made me feel, and I picked out some colors. I picked out some pretty bright colors to represent my happiness that I feel playing my guitar or playing with my little dog Corey. So we're gonna take a minute to look around the table, look at the colors that we have, and pick. I want you to pick 3 or 4 colors that you're gonna use in this drawing. We're gonna do that right now. All right, so we've all picked out our colors, and now we're gonna get into our painting. Now, we made our contour line drawing last week, and the nice thing about this is that it almost just looks like a coloring book at this point. We can just color it in. Now we're gonna color it in kind of a weird way. We're gonna use what's called the wet on wet technique. The reason we're using this is because this is what I think will look a lot like Nancy Rourke's work. If you remember what it looked like when she colored in certain areas of her painting, it looked not like solid color. It had a bit of a texture to it. It had almost like kind of a washy kind of scratchy texture on it. So that's what we're gonna try to achieve by using these paints right now. Now I'm sure everybody is wondering right now, Mr. Mike, why do you even have 2 water cups? And the reason we have 2 water cups is because we're gonna need it for the wet on wet technique. So I have 1 water cup over here, and I have a paper towel underneath that water cup. The reason there's a paper towel underneath that water cup is because when I paint on my drawing, I can come right over here, I can dip it at the bottom of the cup to rinse it off, and I can just wash it off right over here. Now, if I were to paint on my drawing and I came over here and dipped it in this water cup, and I'd have to bring it all the way across, and I'd be dripping all over my painting. So this water cup right here is meant to wash off our brush. Now this one over here, it is super important to keep this one totally clean. We wanna keep this one completely clean, no paint in here at all, okay? This is gonna be for the wet on wet technique. And I'll show you exactly what we're gonna use it for right now. So when I look at my painting, the very first thing that I wanna do, and I think we're all gonna do this first, is we're gonna try and color in our shirt. It's a good practice area. It's nothing too crazy like our face. We're gonna start out with the shirt. So we're not even gonna dip our paintbrush into the paints first. We're gonna go straight for the water cup, okay? So we're gonna dip our brush in the water cup, and I want you to get it pretty wet right now, okay? So we're gonna get it pretty wet in here, and we're gonna bring it right over to the shirt area, and I want you to color within the lines. Now this is pretty tricky because when you're coloring within these lines, there's no paint there. You're not gonna be able to see where you're coloring, so I want you to be super careful to just get the paint inside of this shirt, okay? So I'm gonna dip it in here. I'm gonna come back over here, and I'm going to very carefully only get the water inside of the shirt. Now I wanna make sure that I get everywhere, so I'm kind of using a very slow motor right now. I'm trying to make sure that I get every last spot. I'm going in straight lines across the shirt to make sure that I get every single spot covered, okay? All right, so now we have a wet piece of paper, but no color on it. So now I'm gonna pick a color. I'm gonna use blue. I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna make sure my brush is nice and wet, and I'm just gonna dip the tips of the bristles in blue. We don't wanna go all the way down to the furrow, because that could ruin the brush. We're gonna stop right at the bristles, okay? I'm gonna bring it over here, and I'm just gonna kind of scratch around. And this is different than what we normally do. Normally we're very lawnmower-like. We're just moving in straight lines, but right now, I'm okay if you guys get a little bit scratchy. Now, when I say scratchy, I don't mean go crazy, because you could go really easily, you could go right over that black line that we drew last week. So very carefully, we're just gonna keep scratching away at the paper. Just like that. So you guys can go ahead and do this right now. Just scratch away at the paper, trying to make sure that we're staying within our lines from earlier. Look at that. Very good. Look at that. Excellent. Okay, go give it a try, and then we'll reconvene, and I'll show you the next step. So I see some people are finishing up, and I see some dirty brushes. So remember, when we go to wash our brush, we cannot use our clean water over here. We're gonna go over to what's gonna be our dirty water. Right now, it's gonna start looking a little dirty. We're gonna tap it, tap, 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 at the bottom of the cup. Make sure that we get all of that paint off. That is looking like some chunky paint. What's going on? All right, tap, 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 tap. I'm gonna bring it over here, tap, 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 and I can see that I have a little bit of color still on my brush, so I'm gonna bring it back in here, tap, tap, tap a little bit more. See if I can get it totally clean. Look at that, perfect. Okay, so I am going to color in the next part of my painting, which I think I'm gonna do. It's gonna be a little crazy, but I think I'm gonna go with red for the face of my person. And how about this? Everybody's gonna do our neck that we drew last week. So we're gonna go to the neck. Now, the nice thing is we have crayon down in between our shirt and our neck. And the nice thing about that is that the water really won't wanna seep past, it won't go past our line that we drew last week because crayon and water don't really mix, okay? So when we fill this in with water first, if we stay really careful and not go across this line, we really shouldn't see any blue coming into our neck at all, okay? So I'm gonna give it a try first, and then you guys can watch, and then you're gonna go right after me, okay? So I'm gonna come in here, and I'm gonna be super careful not to go past my shirt. Look at that, nice and easy. It's a nice small spot this time. So I stayed within my lines, I painted within the lines. You can't see it, but I covered everything. I want you guys to give that a try. Go ahead. Okay, and then I'm coming in with, what did I say? I'm gonna use red for this. That's a little crazy. All right, I'm taking a bit of red, and I'm gonna be scratchy, but remember, I'm moving super slow because I absolutely do not wanna get any red in the blue shirt. This red's kind of a orangey red. I actually mixed a bit of yellow into it to give it a little more of an orangey tint, which I really like for the skin color. It's a bit brighter. It's not yellow. You won't be able to see that, of course. So we're gonna use the orange. Look at that. Looking beautiful. Everybody give it a try, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna keep moving. All right, don't forget to wash off your brush. It's about to get really, really messy in mine because I'm using blue and orange, complementary colors, so it's gonna start looking a little brown already for me. I'm gonna tap, tap, tap at the bottom of the cup, and I'm bringing it right over here. Tap, 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 tap. So a little dirty, so I'm gonna bring it back in here. Okay, so I know that I'm gonna be painting the skin color orange, orangey red, so I'm gonna be using orangey red for the face, and I'm also gonna be using orangey red for the ear. But for the lips and for the eyes, I think we're gonna get into next. We're gonna pick a color for, let's start off with the lips, huh? So I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna dip it in my water cup over here, and let's go crazy. I'm gonna use green. Oh my goodness. What did I forget to do? Does anybody know? Raise your hand if you know what I just forgot to do. Go ahead, Billy. You're right, I totally forgot to wet my paper first, okay? So I'm rinsing off my brush because of course I don't want to put any paint on there until I wet the paper. Coming over here. It's a wet brush. I'm coming in now. I have to be super careful to just get it on the lips area. It's a lot smaller than it was before. So I'm gonna actually get even closer to my paper. You can't tell from the camera, but I'm getting very close to my paper right now to make sure that I am only getting inside of the lips. Now remember, our crayon is gonna keep us from painting outside as long as our brush doesn't go outside, okay? So no paint's gonna be spilling over the edge if I don't put my brush over the edge, okay? I'm coming in here, probably should keep it wet, with a little more green. And this time I'm coming in close again, and I am going to be super slow. I'm almost just dabbing it at this point because you know what? It's super small, and I don't think I could get a full brush stroke in this area. So I'm just gonna dab, dab, dab. Look at that, green lips. What's going on with that, Mr. Mike? I don't know, I'm feeling a little happy, so I wanted to be a little crazy with my colors, a little bright and vibrant, right? What should I do after this? Just bring it over here. Tap, 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 tap. I'm gonna clean it up a bit. Now, I think that's all I'm gonna do for you guys. I want you guys to keep working at your painting. Now remember, we have to use our skin color for the rest of the face, for the ear, and we're gonna use it on the eyelids. You can pick an eye color. So we're gonna come in here with an eye color, and we're gonna come in here with a hair color, and we're gonna do our background things today too. Okay, that's a lot of stuff, so I'm gonna let you guys work. I'll be walking around and I'll give you guys some tips and some pointers to make sure that we're staying within those lines.